So tell me what I
we
can't
like to
say.
hear. There's nothing you can't say.
There ain't
I
nothing off
promise.
limits, brother.
Okay.
Fuck it. 100% uncensored.
Okay.
This is America after all.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I'm
like
saying? So what's your name?
Key.
Key? All right, so the first question we got for you is, when you hear the term the American dream, what comes to mind? What does that mean to you?
It's kind of antiquated. It depends on the person. The dream is a dream. It's just a dream. It's not necessarily a reality.
Really?
It's a dream to most.
To most, who are you referring to when you say to most people?
Regular people. Not the dream is only to people that can attain it. Like people with money, people with means. Those are the only people that can really, truly attain that American dream. Most of the people are gonna be normal.
Right.
Yeah. So is that really a dream, or is that just living?
Now, when you think of the dream, are you thinking about like possessions, about status, money? What does the dream actually mean?
Dream is being able to control your life and control how you live it. Most of the time, you're being controlled by work or something else. Yeah.
I think the American dream, or the American dream to me, means being able to have generational wealth for your family, having assets, property, things that you can pass along to multiple generations. Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate American dream, right?
For me, I feel like the American dream has always been just like the standard, right? Like that used to be the standard of how life was supposed to be. You got a wife, you got a kid, 2 kids, even a dog, a car, and all that, and you can afford all of that, working a basic 9 to 5. But with all the changes that have happened, it's no longer the same dream. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot more that you have to achieve now, and it's harder to achieve the dream than ever. So.
But what do you think the change was that made it so much harder for people to achieve that American dream?
I feel like it started with an outsourcing of jobs, and it was a lot of promises that kind of fell apart for the generation that came before us, right? Because Gen Z, we graduated into some shit. We graduated into a pandemic, and we've graduated with less job opportunity and shit like that. But when you look at like what our parents graduated from, they graduated like after 9/11. They graduated when the housing bubble had crashed, so they faced a recession too. So it's kind of a repeat. We've gotten some shitty circumstances to work with, but it's all us kind of maneuvering to see how we can make it work.
So what do you think of when you hear the American dream? What does that mean to you?
When I hear the American dream, I think of opportunity, really. Just the opportunity to go get it, man. We live out here in this great place. We have so many resources available to us that people in other countries just simply don't have. So I feel like we take that for granted a lot.
Can you give me some examples of the resources you think we have but other countries don't?
Well, for instance, dude, we got clean water, we got public schools, we got public transit. You can go on and on, bro. This is the place of opportunity.
So why do you think, because I hear that a lot, why do you think that we as Americans in general take it for granted, or we don't really realize the opportunities that we have?
I feel like sometimes we just kind of get like almost lost in the sauce, you know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean by that for anybody listening? What does lost in the sauce mean?
it's like you get too caught up in what you're doing. You get too caught up in your own little bubble, You don't take the time to consider other people's thoughts and feelings, where they're coming from maybe. So I feel like if you just stop and take a second and remind yourself to kind of think of where someone else is coming from, step in their shoes for a minute, I feel like that's a good practice.
So when you hear the American dream, what comes to mind? What does that mean to you?
Ooh, I don't want to be biased. Really, I really just be thinking about like military, being free, that whole little, thing, founding fathers. I'm not really good with history and politics. They had a cameo, excuse me. I don't know. Not really them being free, working, being able to vote, all that. That's what I think.
So what do you think? When you hear the American dream, what comes to mind? What does that mean to you?
Well, not only like freedom, like she said, freedom, but I don't know. I don't want to sound mean either, but
Speak your mind. Speak your mind.
So I feel like the American dream is, with this day and age, it's not really gonna happen. Because everybody wants equality, everybody wants freedom, everybody wants reparation for this, for our melanated skin. But with the government acting up, Biden acting up,
They can hear that.
I'm just saying, we as a people need to just learn to love and shit. All the other stuff can come later. That American dream is fucking done with this new generation. I feel like the American dream should be love. I feel like the American dream should be raising the younger kids the right way. That's what I feel like the American dream should be. I feel like if we was kinder, you know, we would be living the American dream. If people weren't, you know, so biased to everything and want to cancel everything, you know. I feel like with a little love, we all can live the dream that we want. But we living in a world where there's not really much of it.
What does the American dream mean to you?
I'll be honest here.
100%.
Man, the American dream a fucking joke for black people, bro, on some real shit. Now, obviously, there's pros and cons to it. I understand that me being a black man within this country, I'm sorry, let me start it off this way. I understand that me being a man within this country, there's certain things that I can just do that other people cannot do, whether they be, you know what I'm saying? Like, just based off of how the patriarchy is set up, right? That's all for it. Now, me being black, it adds another feature to my existence, which some might say is great, others might say it's treacherous. It's honestly both. So in terms of my own perception of the American dream, I believe it's obtainable, but I believe it's a lot harder for me to obtain because of who I am and how I look within this country.
Okay, so how would you describe the American dream if you had to explain it to somebody who had never heard the concept before?
The American dream is basically hustle and grind culture. It's the reason why you're worried more about how much money you're making versus how much time you spending with your damn kids on some real shit. There's pros and cons to it.
Damn, that's heavy, though.
You know, it's like, not worth too, right? You know what I'm saying? But it's like, there's pros and cons to it. For example, it's like, I know if I grind for 10 years right now, I can chill for 30 years later. Now, do I feel like putting that, do I feel like spending that time? You know what I'm saying? Do I feel like leveraging my time for those next 10 years to chill out for the next 30 years? That's up to you. That's up to me. You know what I'm saying? However I feel like living, however you feel like living, that's what you want to do with your life. Like on some real shit. But the American dream is definitely, it's a false promise though, because capitalism is not going to allow for that many people to chase their bags at once. Somebody has to lose. And if you're a minority, it's probably going to be you. So I'm sorry if you're from another country watching this shit. My fault, gangster.
Sorry.
My word, like, you got it next time. Like, I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, it's like, I was gonna say you should have been white, but I'm not gonna, I know you can't put that up in there.
If you had to describe the American dream to somebody, or if I say that, what comes to mind? What does that mean to you?
The American dream? I'm not a big expert on that, but I think it's just like the idea that you can, anyone who is willing to like work hard and just that, they can come here and they can, you know, they can better their life in a sense. And I'm not sure this is so true. Like, it's probably true for some people, maybe not so true for others. But like, I've only heard of this concept, like, you know, reading about it and hearing from people. I've never like experienced it myself.
I see. But do you think that's something that's unique to the United States, that idea of like coming here and maybe starting with nothing and working your way up to something big? Or
It makes me think of America.
Really?
I think you guys just talk about it a lot.
What does the American dream mean to you?
Oh shit. Okay. I mean, look where we're at right now. I mean, the American dream is like being free. You know, just having your own way instead of being controlled by, you know, a government, and you know, having endless freedom. So I say that's the American dream.
Do you think that dream is attainable to everyone in this country?
I would say outside homes, I would say yes. But inside, I would say no, because certain parents, or, you know, how they do certain things with their children, I would say that's different.
So it depends on maybe your upbringing, your mindset, your culture, and stuff like that, you think?
I would say so.
Okay.
I would say so.
Do you think most people don't even have a chance to achieve that dream?
I think that they work hard, but it takes work. People aren't willing to put the work in to attain some of the things that they want. So most of the time people don't get it because they don't work for it, or they don't try it. This shit ain't easy. Yeah.
And do you think it's just hard work that you need, or maybe something else?
Shit, you need some luck. Luck happens for everybody. Yeah, you need some fortune. Luck and fortune. Fortune not in money, but fortune in opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we do know this as like the land of opportunity as well. Do you think that this country in particular has more opportunities than others?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. First world problems. Yeah. First world situations. So other parts of the world, you don't have those opportunities. There is no middle class in most of the world. We have a middle class.
Now, a lot of people would say that dream is only attainable by certain groups of people in this country. How do you feel about that?
I definitely agree that it's only obtainable by certain groups or certain cultures of people, just due to the way that the country was built in general. African Americans, of course, people of color have always been left behind, and that's probably one of the hardest things to find a solution for, right? Like, how do you make up for lost time, lost opportunities, systematic things that have been created to work against us? So sometimes it feels impossible, but it's like not the message that you want to put out there, right? So
when you think the American dream, you think freedom. Does anything else come to mind when you think of that?
Well, yes and no. Just because of how it actually began. So I would say yes and no.
How did it begin?
I mean, for Black people, it was rough, and then how we were brought here, it just kind of, made it rough, and then so on and so forth.
There's kind of like two schools of thought on this one, because a lot of people will agree with you and say because of the history of this country, like certain minorities have the chips stacked against them, so it's harder for them to achieve that dream. But other people will say in 2022, with the internet, social media, all that type of stuff, all these resources we have available to us, that there's really no excuse. So how do you feel about that?
Shit. I don't know how to answer that, honestly.
Now, especially today, like with the internet, for example, some might say you can really do whatever you want. There's nothing stopping you from starting a business or making money and then eventually buying those assets and stuff like that. But do you still think that even with the internet and tools like that, it's still kind of like an unlevel playing field?
absolutely, because ultimately there's still racism and there's still the possibility of, getting denied for that loan, even if you apply yourself, or, being denied because of just the color of your skin alone. But I won't say that it's not impossible, right? Like, people get it out of the mud every day. And so, the message has to be that you're capable, it is possible. There are going to be things that work against you, but you have to push through some of those things ultimately. It's always easier said than done. Like, you always want to stay optimistic and hopeful, and I think that's what people need the most, are those positive reinforcements. And then obviously the resources, and knowing where to find the grants, find the money to start your business or to fund whatever it is that you're trying to do. So.
Now, a second ago, you said people get it out the mud every day. So just for anybody listening, what does that mean? What do you mean when you say get out the mud?
Getting it out of the mud means, well, let me think about this. Because everybody's mud is different, but getting it out of the mud. Getting it out of the mud means coming from at whatever level you're at, raising above that, not staying complacent, staying in the same space. Getting it out of the mud means that even if you are set back and you have, these obstacles that are made against you, that you're going to push through those regardless, and not make up excuses for yourself. And don't let those excuses be the reason why you feel like you can't go beyond where you are. Yeah.